But first, Fox Carolina is committed to you, and if you get your power from Duke Energy, your bill might soon go up. Today, the South Carolina's Public Utilities Commission hearing closing arguments from the company about why they say this increase is needed. They also heard from a group opposing it.
Now, Fox Carolina's Grace Runkle listened into that meeting for us today. She's live in studio now with what's next. Hey, Grace.
Well, now the commissioners will make their decision about whether or not to allow Duke to increase those rates. Duke says it's needed to keep up with growing demand. However, the South Carolina Energy Users Committee says the added cost will hurt the people paying the bills. Duke is asking for a 7.1% increase for residential customers. For the average home, that's going to amount to just over an additional $9 each month and about $110 total next year. A lawyer representing the Energy Users Committee says that's a price customers won't want to pay after last Christmas's rolling outages. Some people were left in the dark without heat for 10 hours.
I certainly would think that those Duke ratepayers who were without electricity on Christmas Eve would find the utilities' argument that their behavior was reasonable to be unavailing.
That's only going to open Pandora's box and reinsert all of these issues back into the case. Respectfully, that's not in the best interest of the company's ratepayers or the parties. Stated differently, it's not in the public interest.
That was the attorney for Duke you just heard from. We'll find out the commission's decision at a later date. We're still waiting to find out exactly when they're going to schedule that meeting. And if the increase is approved, it will go into effect November 1st. Live in the studio, Grace Runkle, Fox Carolina News.